Paper 1 Section B. Section B divided into two parts. One is international economics and second part will be growth and development. International economics and growth and development. Usually the weightage for both generally around because section B there will be 4 questions in section B. First question will be compulsory. So question number 5 basically starts with section B. So first question will be compulsory here. Section B starts with question number 5. There will be part A, B, C, D and E. 10 into 5. After that question number 6 it will have 3 parts. Question number 7 will have 3 parts and question number 8 will have 3 parts. You have to select at least one and maximum you can attempt 2. ठीक है, तो at least one you have to select in out of 6, 7 and 8. So first is compulsory and then out of these 3 you have to select at least one and maximum you can attempt 2 because you have to attempt section A as well. तो at least एक question इसमें select करना है जो usually the weightage is 20, 15 and 15. Breakup of that sub part. So in total there are 4 questions including sub part there will be 14 questions. Out of 14 expect around 7 to 8 questions from international and 7 to 8 questions from growth and development. 7 to 8 sub parts. ठीक है, यहाँ 3 सब पार्ट हो जाएंगे, यहाँ पे 9 क्वेश्चन ही हो गए, कंपल्सरी 5 है तो 14 क्वेश्चन इन टोटल है फ्रॉम सेक्शन बी and in that 7 to 8 sub part will be from international, 7 to 8 sub part from the growth and development section. ठीक है, just for example say last year paper. So in the last year paper from international economics 1 question, 2 question, 3, 4, 5, 6. So usually you will have always have 6 to 8 question here. In 17 this was question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So generally there will be 7 parts around from the international economics. मतलब approximately 100 marks का international होगा और 100 marks का growth and development होगा. 100 marks international and 100 marks growth and development. So 2 sub part there in section B. After that now start with international. In international economics again you can divide this entire topic into broadly 2 parts. One will be theories of international trade and other concept will be related to balance of payment and foreign exchange market or forex market. Balance of payment and foreign exchange market. Broadly you can divide it into 2 parts. One section will be all theories of trade, whether it is new theories or old theories, and the other part will be balance of payment and related to those issues, BOP and foreign exchange market. The source for this international economics, usually students refer this Salvatore international economics. Apart from Salvatore, I will also say for some chapter at least read Paul Krugman. So 2 sources for international economics, Paul Krugman and Dominic Salvatore. Preferably Krugman for theories and BOP onwards from Salvatore. BOP onwards from Salvatore. तो सोर्स इज क्लियर. इंटरनेशनल इकोनॉमिक्स के लिए सोर्स हो जाएगा साल्वाटोर एंड पॉल क्रूगमैन. You don't have to read the entire book. There will be selected chapters. So we have to refer to those selected chapters from those books. So for theories and for balance of payment, two separate sources. Now make the heading of this theories of international trade. Theories of international trade. Divide all theories into two parts. Divide theories into two parts. One will be the old theories of international trade and new theories of international trade. New theories of international trade. Old theories and new theories of trade. Difference between these two parts will be broadly that all old theories assumes that market is perfectly competitive. जितने भी old concept हैं, all old theories assume that market is perfectly competitive. So that perfect competition is the assumption behind old theories of trade. And when I say perfect competition, it means there will be large number of firms producing identical product and price will be equal to marginal cost. Firms are price taker. And all new theories assumes that market is not perfectly competitive. Now if market is not perfectly competitive, it is imperfectly competitive. Imperfection means there will be some sort of monopoly element which remains in monopolistic competition also. So that new theory is based upon imperfect competition. But within that imperfect competition, you may include monopoly or monopolistic as well as oligopoly. So old theories based upon perfect competition and new theories based upon imperfect competition. Now these are among the old theories. Among the old theories, you will start with one part will be absolute cost advantage theory. Absolute cost advantage theory as given by Adam Smith. Then comparative cost advantage. Comparative cost advantage. The meaning of the term will become clear. Absolute cost advantage, then comparative cost advantage theory given by Ricardo. So it is Ricardian theory of trade. One theory is absolute cost advantage, then second one is comparative cost advantage. In both approach, we will assume that the model is 2 by 2 by 1 model, and 2 by 2 by 1 means there are two factors of production, or rather there are two countries producing two products by using one factor of production. Two countries, say home country and foreign country, or country 1, country 2, producing two commodity, suppose rice and wheat, and those two commodities are produced by only one factor of production, say labor. So absolute cost advantage model is basically 2 by 2 by 1 model. I repeat, two countries producing two product by using only one factor of production. Same thing will be assumed by Ricardian model also. It is also 2 by 2 by 1 model. So two countries producing two product by using only one factor of production. Then you will extend that concept. Extend that concept to explain factor proportion model. Factor proportion model. That factor proportion model is popularly referred as HO model. It is a Heckscher Orlean, Heckscher-Orlean model. But difference will be that it will be 2 by 2 by 2 model. It will be a 2 by 2 by 2 model. So there are two countries producing two products by using two factor of production. So earlier if labor was the only factor of production, now there are two factor of production. One will be labor, other you can say capital or land or any other example. So there are two factor of production in the factor proportion model. Factor proportion model concept of Heckscher and Orlean. So it is popularly referred as HO model. After that factor proportion model, remember arrow आप all theories के लिए बना रहे हैं. All theories बनाने का मतलब हो गया all those theories will assume what? Perfect competition market. All concept will be based upon that perfect competition market. दो कंट्री के बीच का ट्रेड एक्सप्लेन करें कि why two countries trade with each other and what is the reason for trade and what are the advantages from trade. Obviously there will be benefit from trade, that is why they are trading. If China and US is trading with each other, there must be some benefit. Now it may happen that benefit is more to one country less to the other country. But remember, when you explain this type of trade, we are referring not trade in general, we are referring trade between two countries involving only two products. से दो प्रोडक्ट की बात हो रही है, डोंट मेक अ जनरलाइजेशन. तो यहाँ पे लिमिट करना अपने आर्गुमेंट को माइक्रो की तरफ. लाइक इन माइक्रो यू स्टडी जनरल इलेक्ट्रॉन पार्ट, सिमिलरली देयर आर ओनली टू फैक्टर टू प्रोडक्ट. सो ट्रेड बिटवीन टू कंट्रीज प्रोड्यूसिंग ओनली टू प्रोडक्ट. नाउ ऑब्वियसली वन कंट्री कांट बी एक्सपोर्टर ऑफ बोथ गुड. So if one country is exporting one commodity, that country must be importing the other commodity. If you explain many goods, then the argument will be. So absolute, then comparative, after that factor proportion theory, and then a specific factor model. A specific factor model. A specific factor model concept is basically associated with Samuelson and Jones. Samuelson and Jones. A specific factor model. That specific factor model is 2 by 2 by 3 model. ठीक है, प्रोग्रेशन पे ध्यान दीजिएगा, आप क्या मॉडिफाई करते जा रहे हो. You will start with one factor, then you will move to two factor, and third you will move to the three factor model. So now if there are three factor of production, labor, capital and say land को T से denote कर लिया. Labor, capital and land, these three factor of production are used to produce two commodity. Suppose two commodities we consider cloth and food. So quantity of cloth will be a function of labor and capital, and suppose quantity of food is a function of labor and land. Just information because आप frame यहाँ create कर रहे हो, clear कर लीजिएगा. When we explain a specific factor model, what we are saying, there are three factor of production. To produce cloth we require what? Labor and capital, and to produce food we require labor and land. So what is common between these two? Labor. So labor can move from one industry to another industry, but to produce cloth we require capital, and capital is not used in food, and to produce food we require land, land is not used in. So labor is capital is specific to cloth and land is specific to food. Specific का मतलब हो गया this capital factor is specific to cloth and this land factor is specific to. स्पेसिफिक है मतलब उसी पर्पस के लिए यूज होगा वो. सो विच फैक्टर इज मोबाइल एंड विच फैक्टर इज इमोबाइल. लेबर कैन मूव फ्रॉम वन इंडस्ट्री टू अनदर, बट अदर फैक्टर आर फिक्स टू दैट इंडस्ट्री, दे आर स्पेसिफिक टू दैट इंडस्ट्री. सो आफ्टर 2 by 2 by 1 it is 2 by 2 by 2 and then it is 2 by 2 by 3. One more model is there, and which is standard trade model. Standard trade model. ये बेसिकली जनरलाइजेशन है, नॉट एनी स्पेसिफिक नेम एसोसिएटेड विद दैट, बट स्टैंडर्ड ट्रेड मॉडल इज अगेन बेस्ड अपॉन 2x2x2 मॉडल and it assumes the assumptions of factor proportion model. ये factor proportion model के concept को use करता है, मतलब HO model के concept पे ऊपर based है. The assumptions of HO model will also be the assumptions of standard trade model, but you can write only the key point here. It will explain trade by using relative supply and relative demand concept, RS and RD. We will explain trade by using relative supply and relative demand, a relative supply and relative demand concept. Relative supply and relative demand. Remember, when I said all these theories, all theories are based upon perfect competition, and then also I said there are two products. One product is say cloth, other product is suppose food. So what is the assumption of perfect competition? There are many firms. In which country? In both the countries. In which industry? In both the industries, because market is competitive. So cloth market is competitive, so there are many producers of cloth and they are producing same cloth or different cloth. Perfect competition hai. So in the perfect competition, basic assumption that product is homogeneous. So all firms are producing identical cloth, all firms are producing identical food. But if I say market is monopolistic in nature, then if market is monopolistic in nature, then the product becomes differentiated. So if product is differentiated, it means they are not producing the same product, they are producing different products. So if there will be trade in the new trade theories, in the new theories of international trade, when we explain trade, if there are two countries producing cloth, they are not producing identical cloth, they are producing different variety of cloth. So if I ask whether India export cloth or import cloth, export cloth or import cloth, it is both. In fact, we export some category of cloth and we import some other category of cloth, but it is not the same cloth, it is differentiated. But when the idea of differentiated product will arise, the idea of differentiated product will arise only when we consider that market is imperfectly. Perfect competition में तो product homogeneous होते हैं. So we have to start with that part and then we will move to the new trade theories. And in that new trade theories, the argument will be quite different. उसके सब part नहीं मिलाने आपको. In that the argument will be different, like what is the nature of inter-industry trade and what is intra-industry trade. So what is inter-industry trade? Trade between two industry. So trade between two industry means if you export cloth, you are importing food. But what is intra-industry trade? It is trade of cloth for cloth but not same cloth. So but that idea of intra-industry trade will arise only when we consider that market is imperfectly competitive. तो जो recent theories हैं trade के, वो कह रहे हैं कि market competition नहीं, market में perfect competition नहीं होता, it is mainly imperfect competition. So first of all, just keep that frame in mind, because from that frame expect around 2 to 3 parts of the question. Because I said international economics divided into 2 parts. One will be the theories. So expect around 2 to 3 questions from these subparts. It could be from Ricardian model, it may be from HO model, it may be from a specific factor model, or from standard trade model, or from new trade theories. Okay? So just keep this mind that all theories are categorized into these parts. Usually when you start theories, ये prominently cover होते हैं. अब सपोज आपने सब कुछ कवर कर लिया और कवर करने के बाद लगा कि अच्छा सिलेबस तो अब हमने कवर कर लिया है, बट पेपर में क्वेश्चन आ गया, राइट अ शॉर्ट नोट ऑन ग्रेविटी मॉडल ऑफ ट्रेड. ठीक है, राइट अ शॉर्ट नोट ऑन ग्रेविटी मॉडल ऑफ ट्रेड 2017 में, एंड दैट टू वाज अ कंपल्सरी क्वेश्चन. सो वी स्टडीड ऑल द प्रोमिनेंट थ्योरीज, बट प्रोमिनेंट थ्योरीज ना करके एक लेस प्रोमिनेंट थ्योरीज आपसे पूछी गई जो क्रूगमैन में इंट्रोडक्टरी चैप्टर में एक्सप्लेन किया गया। तो यूजुअली इंट्रोडक्शन वाला चैप्टर छोड़ करके आगे जो मेन चैप्टर होता है वहाँ से पढ़ लेते हैं, तो आपको इंट्रोडक्शन से स्टार्ट करना है। सो दिस ग्रेविटी मॉडल विल स्टार्ट विद दैट ग्रेविटी मॉडल, देन विल मेक दैट ऑल theories, classical theories and the modern theories. So first we will start with directly from this question, gravity model of trade. Gravity model of trade. ठीक है, फ्रेम क्लियर रहेगा, कैसे मूव करना है, 2 by 2 by 1, फिर 2 by 2 by 2, after that 2 by 2 by 3, that will be specific, or based upon HO model we have to explain. So these are in fact different chapters in book, so there will be sub part also, there will be many topic within that also. First is gravity model. Gravity model of trade basically argues that the trade value between two countries, suppose one country is I, other country is J, the trade between two countries we have to explain here, trade between two countries. Now if we have to explain trade between the two countries, so one country and the other country, so how much will be the value of trade between these two countries? Depends upon certain factor, and those factors are explained here by this equation. Value of trade between two countries depends upon two things. One, what is the size of this country? Size means in terms of GDP. And what is the distance between these two countries? Greater will be the size, more will be the trade, and greater will be the distance, less will be the trade. So the value of trade between two countries depend upon their size, and it also depend upon the distance between the countries. So trade between say US and China, why trade between US and China is more? Because the size of that economy in terms of GDP is higher. The size of that country in terms of GDP will be greater. So the trade between two countries depend upon the size as well as it depend upon the distance, but with distance trade value will decrease and with size it will increase. So just एक relationship याद रखेंगे, it is A is a constant term, Y stands for basically GDP, so GDP of country I, this is GDP of country J, and upon distance between country I and country J, distance between country I and country J. Trade between two countries depend upon their GDP as well as on their distance. So as the size of GDP increases, the value of trade will increase, but as the distance increases, the value of trade will decrease. So this model basically ignore the other factors like what is the basis of trade. It simply says as the size of economy will be large, there will be more and more trade. Now do you find any implication of this? मतलब इसका रियल लाइफ रेलिवेंस इस ग्रेविटी मॉडल का सही में ऐसा होता है? वाई देर इज अ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ रीजनल ब्लॉक, यूरोपियन यूनियन रीजनल ब्लॉक का इमरजेंस इसको सपोर्ट करेगा, बिकॉज रीजनल ब्लॉक एक सर्टेन रीजन में ट्रेड को प्रमोट करने के लिए, और एक सर्टेन रीजन का मतलब हो गया वहाँ डिस्टेंस कम है, सो दैट इन दैट वे इट विल बी प्रमोटिंग ट्रेड, बट डिस्टेंस तो इंडिया और पाकिस्तान के बीच भी कम है, बट ट्रेड का वॉल्यूम ज़्यादा, दैट मीन्स इट इज़ इग्नोरिंग other factors also. Trade depends upon other factors also. It is not only pure economic relationship. Trade is also guided by some other factors. So we have to explain its implication also, as well as we have to explain the limitation also. So in those compulsory question, when you have to write an answer of around 150 words, so how to write and how much to write? Just start writing first paragraph. The gravity model of trade. The gravity model of trade. Gravity model of trade relates trade between. The gravity model of trade relates trade between any two countries. Relates trade between any two countries to the size of their economies. To the size of their economies. And also with distance between two economies. Distance between two economies. There is a strong empirical relationship. There is a strong empirical, real life data support that type of theory. There is a strong empirical relationship between size of a country's economy, and value of both its export and import. Value of both its export and import. Full stop. Looking at the world trade. Looking at the world trade. Looking at the world trade as a whole. World trade as a whole. Economists have found an equation. Economists have found an equation that predicts the value of trade between two countries more accurately. Value of trade between countries more accurately. Equation is this. Trade value between country I and country J is equal to this term. Just वहाँ explain कर दीजिएगा. Where TIJ is value of trade between. TIJ is value of trade between country I and country J. Value of trade between country I and country J. A is a constant term. A is a constant term. YI and YJ. YI and YJ is GDP of country I and country J. Is GDP of country I and country J. and dij is distance between two countries. Distance between two countries. Therefore, keeping other things constant, therefore keeping other things constant, therefore keeping other things constant, value of trade between two countries, value of trade between two countries is proportional to product of two countries GDP, is proportional to product of two countries GDP and it diminishes with distance between two countries. Distance between two countries. Next paragraph. The above equation is known as gravity model of trade. The above equation is known as gravity model of trade. The reason for gravity model is the analogy to Newton's law of gravity. Analogy to Newton's law of gravity. Full stop. Just as gravitational attraction between any two object is proportional to product of their mass, and diminishes with distance, after comma. Similarly, trade between two countries is proportional to product of their GDP and it diminishes with their distance. So actually mass of this object is basically the GDP. So next sentence करना उससे पहले economists often estimate a more general gravity model general gravity model of the following form actually में they are imposing certain parameters, you can say A, B and C, and it is not that type of mathematical relationship जो empirical study को support कर रहा है, कि directly वो नहीं है, you are attaching some constraints or parameters on top of that, but the idea is same. मतलब एग्जैक्ट वो रिलेशनशिप नहीं आएगा कि आपने जीडीपी मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया और डिस्टेंस से डायरेक्टली डिवाइड कर दिया तो ट्रेड की वैल्यू आ जाएगी. इट इज़ नॉट लाइक दैट, बट इट विल बी इन द सेम डायरेक्शन. तो द आइडिया इज बेसिकली टू रिप्रेजेंट दैट रियलिटी. सो फॉर दैट पर्पस इवन इफ यू डोंट राइट दिस फॉर्म, द फर्स्ट वन इज गुड इनफ. दिस इक्वेशन से दैट this equation say that value of trade between two countries, this equation say that value of trade between two countries are determined by size of their GDP, comma distance between countries, as well as the values of A, B and C, small a, small b, small c. ब्रीफली ऐड कर देंगे इम्प्लीकेशंस नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ के लिए. ग्रेविटी मॉडल हैज implications for emergence of regional block. Gravity model has implications for emergence of regional block which support the idea that value of trade increases as distance between two countries decreases. So there is empirical support for gravity model. There is empirical support for gravity model. That means no one is refuting that idea. However, trade is also determined by some non-economic factors. Which are not covered in gravity model of trade. In addition, gravity model does not explain the the reasoning behind trade, in terms of comparative advantage, in terms of comparative advantage, in terms of comparative advantage. So this type of answer you should be well prepared with. Whenever a question comes like this, just write a short note on the gravity model of trade. So effectively you have to write around 150 words for that, but within a period of say 7 to 8 minutes. ठीक है, तो effectively वो आप तभी reproduce कर सकते हो when it is already written and you have practiced it. So this was basically one question of gravity model. Now you can start with the conventional theories of trade. The idea of absolute and comparative will become clear in the case of comparative advantage itself. So basically the old concept start with the Adam Smith, then it move on to the Ricardian model, then will move to the HO model, and after HO model it will be a specific factor model. You can start with this first one, comparative cost advantage. The idea of absolute cost advantage is basically hidden in this, so we'll elaborate that part as well. Comparative cost advantage theory explained by a Ricardian model. So this model is a 2 by 2 by 1 model. 2 by 2 by 1 model. So trade between a home country and foreign country. If you are referring to that Salvatore book, it will state or explain things like that: nation 1, nation 2, or you may call it home country and the foreign country. So we have to explain trade between two countries, home country and foreign country, producing two product. So there are two product produced. You may call it good 1, good 2, good X, good Y, or by any specific example. Suppose cheese and wine, या cloth and food. And these two products are produced by using only one factor of production, which is labor. So it is trade between two countries producing two products by using only one factor of production, which is labor. So if only labor is used to produce cheese, then what is the cost of producing that cheese? If only labor is used to produce cheese, that means the cost is mainly determined by the labor cost. No other factor has been used. So it is basically based upon the labor theory of value. मतलब जो लेबर की वैल्यू होगी वो डिटरमाइन करेगा चीज़ के कॉस्ट को, और वो डिटरमाइन करेगा वाइन के कॉस्ट को. Because in order to produce this product we require only labor. Now before explaining this trade, first understand some basic concepts here. Right now अभी trade की बात नहीं हो रही है, just focus on what home country can produce. Then we will discuss what foreign country can produce. Then we will explain which country will have a specialization in which line of production. So we have to basically determine out of these two products in which good home country has comparative cost benefit. So the country having comparative cost benefit in cheese will export cheese, and the country having comparative cost benefit in wine will produce or export wine. But how to determine it? For that purpose the basic point first. So right now अभी trade की बात नहीं हो रही है, just we are referring to that home country. So if a home country is there, home country is having only one factor, which is labor. Labor not in terms of 1 person or 2 person, it is in terms of hour. So suppose a total labor hour available is 2400. By using that labor, home country can produce two product one is cheese and other product is wine, but question is how much. If country has 2400 labor hour, how many unit of cheese it can produce? अगर entire labor force हमने चीज के प्रोडक्शन में लगा दिया तो in that time how much unit of cheese can be produced? That depends. Maximum तो होगा but उसकी value कितनी होगी? That depends upon obviously the productivity of labor. How many unit labor can produce in 1 hour? Or to produce 1 unit of output we require how many unit of labor? So if I use a term and I write it as ALC, you have to read it as unit labor requirement. Unit labor requirement to produce cheese. ठीक है, रीड करना है इसको. सी वर्ड यूज कर लिया मैंने चीज के लिए, एल लेबर के लिए यूज कर लिया, ए यूनिट लेबर रिक्वायरमेंट के लिए. तो यूनिट लेबर रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ चीज मीन्स, जस्ट फॉर एग्जांपल विल बी हेल्पिंग यू. सपोज इफ आई से इट इज 6 hour, it means what? To produce 1 unit of cheese it take 6 hour. To produce 1 unit of cheese it takes 6 hour. So in 2400 hour how many unit of cheese can be produced? To produce 1 unit it takes 6 hour. So in 2400 you can produce maximum 400 unit of cheese and 0 production of wine. That is one possibility. On the other hand, if I write ALW, apply करो concept, क्या पढ़ना है इसको? Unit labor requirement to produce wine. So ALW is unit labor requirement to produce wine. And if it is 4 hour, it means to produce 1 unit of wine it take 4 hours. So in 2400 hour how many unit? 600. So here it will be 600. By marking those point, just connect those corners with a straight line, and this line is production possibility curve. Production possibility curve है economy का. Production possibility curve. If economy can produce only cheese, it can produce maximum 400. If economy can produce only wine, it can produce 600. But there can be many combination in between also. So this line is basically production possibility curve. Can you write equation of this line? If you have to write the equation of this line, you can write it in this form. If I multiply ALC with quantity of cheese, ये पूरी वैल्यू क्या बताएगी? ALC को आपने QC से मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया है. ALC होता है 1 यूनिट को बनाने में कितना टाइम लग रहा है और कितनी क्वांटिटी हमने चीज़ की बनाई है, मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया तो टोटल टाइम यूज टू प्रोड्यूस चीज. सिमिलरली ALW multiplied by QW will become what? Total time used to produce wine. और दोनों को प्लस कर लें तो this is the overall total time. And how much is the time available? So it will be either less or equal to L. Less or equal to L. So this equation is basically equation of that line. This equation is equation of that line. And remember, in paper you don't have to write equation etc., but you have to just relate what is the slope of that line. So what is that slope? If you know the equation of a straight line, can you find slope of that line? Equation अगर line का पता होता है तो line का slope निकाल सकते हैं mathematically. तो dy by ds करना मतलब differentiation है. तो on vertical axis you are measuring what? QW. On horizontal you measure QC. So you have to differentiate this equation. मतलब after writing solving it for QW, you have to solve for we have to differentiate with respect to QC. And when you will differentiate, the end result will be minus ALC by ALW. So ignoring that differentiation part, you explain this. If you apply that concept, it will be this. तो जस्ट इंफॉर्मेशन आपको ये रखना है कि प्रोडक्शन पॉसिबिलिटी कर्व, these are the possibilities of production, these are the possibilities of production, and what is the slope of that line? It is minus ALC by LW. In this example, how much it is? ALC was how much? 6, ALW was 4, so it was 6 by 4, 1.5. What does that value calculate? ये वैल्यू क्या कैलकुलेट कर रहा है? 1.5 की वैल्यू तो 12 by 8 पे भी आ जाती, 3 by 2 पे भी आना था. तो what does that value calculate? This value is slope, and that slope calculate opportunity cost. It is opportunity cost of what? Opportunity cost of producing cheese. So it is opportunity cost of that commodity which is written on x axis. So it is opportunity cost of cheese. Cheese को produce करने का opportunity cost है. It is opportunity cost of producing cheese. Opportunity cost of producing that cheese. But what is the meaning of that term opportunity cost? Opportunity cost का मतलब क्या होता है? Opportunity cost of cheese means what? Opportunity means what opportunity you sacrifice. So if I say opportunity cost of cheese is 1.5, it means in order to produce one more unit of cheese, economy will have to give up 1.5 unit of wine. To produce one more unit of cheese, economy will have to give up 1.5 unit of wine. Simple example है, to produce 1 unit of cheese you require how many time? How much time? 6 hour. और 6 hour में वाइन की कितनी क्वांटिटी बन जाएगी? 6 hour में कितनी क्वांटिटी बन जाएगी? 1 यूनिट बनाने के लिए 4 hour चाहिए, तो 6 hour में 1.5 हो जाएगा. So this ALC by ALW is opportunity cost of cheese in wine, opportunity cost of cheese in that home country. So you have to calculate that opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is this number, in fact, ALC by ALW. If you take inverse of this, then it will become opportunity cost of wine हो जाएगा. So opportunity cost of wine will be ALW by. So if you know opportunity cost of one good, you know the opportunity cost of other product as well, in just inverse of it. So the idea behind this Ricardian model is that just as we calculated opportunity cost of cheese in the home country, similarly you can calculate opportunity cost of cheese in the foreign country. And if ALC by ALW is less than, for foreign country I am putting this star mark, this ये नंबर अलग होंगे. जैसे है 6 hour और 4 hour लिख रखा है, उसके लिए 5 और 10 हो सकता है, कोई और नंबर होगा. Similarly you can calculate opportunity cost of cheese in the foreign country. But अगर चीज़ का अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट हम कंपेयर करें कि होम कंट्री में कम है या फॉरेन कंट्री में कम है, तो इफ़ यू फाइंड दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट ऑफ चीज़ इन होम कंट्री इज लेस, then Ricardian model say that home country has comparative cost advantage in producing cheese. So when a country has comparative cost advantage, a country has comparative cost advantage in cheese if opportunity cost of producing cheese in that country is less. तो जिस कंट्री में अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट कम होगा, that country will have comparative cost advantage. If home country has lower opportunity cost in cheese, home country has comparative advantage. If foreign country has lower opportunity cost, foreign country will have comparative cost advantage. Why I am using the word comparative here and not absolute? Comparative because we are taking a ratio here. You are taking basically a ratio. Now I will introduce the idea of what is the meaning of absolute here. Just ये एग्जाम्पल देखना. सपोज यू राइट सम वैल्यू फॉर होम कंट्री. आई टेक ALC एज 6 hour, and for foreign country ALC star is 4 hour. So based upon only these two information, what you will say? मैंने चीज़ क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन दिया है, वाइन का इन्फॉर्मेशन लिखा ही नहीं है अभी, सिर्फ एक प्रोडक्ट की बात हो रही है. सो विच कंट्री हैज़ ग्रेटर प्रोडक्टिविटी? किसके पास प्रोडक्टिविटी ज़्यादा है? फॉरेन कंट्री कैन प्रोड्यूस 1 यूनिट ऑफ चीज इन लेस टाइम एंड होम कंट्री टेक मोर टाइम. सो यू विल से दैट फॉरेन कंट्री हैज़ absolute advantage. It is absolute advantage. So foreign country has absolute advantage in producing cheese. Similarly, if you mark that ALW, and ALW is a 4 hour, and here ALW star, this is suppose 1 hour. So in which country, again for wine, foreign country take less time. तो फिर वाइन में भी फॉरेन कंट्री का क्या है? एब्सोल्यूट एडवांटेज है. वेदर इट इज चीज और वेदर इट इज वाइन, बोथ कमोडिटी फॉरेन कंट्री कैन प्रोड्यूस इन लेस टाइम. तो वेदर ट्रेड इज पॉसिबल देन? इज ट्रेड पॉसिबल? दोनों प्रोडक्ट में फॉरेन कंट्री का एडवांटेज है, तो इज ट्रेड पॉसिबल? Trade is not possible based upon absolute cost advantage, but trade is still possible and beneficial for both the countries if you make use of comparative cost advantage. Based upon Adam Smith view, that advantage is not there because foreign country has absolute advantage in both the product. But Ricardian uses the concept of अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट प्रोवाइडेड बाय हैबरलर. तो उसने अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट के कंसेप्ट को यूज कर रखा है. एंड दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट कंसेप्ट इज व्हाट? ALC by ALW, that will measure what? Opportunity cost of cheese. So opportunity cost of cheese in home country and this is in foreign country. So this number was 6 by 4 and this is 4 by 1. So opportunity ALC star by ALW star, opportunity 4 by 1. ठीक है, तो 4 by 1 की वैल्यू अगर आ गई तो ऑब्वियसली अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट इज लेस इन दी होम कंट्री. सो होम कंट्री हैज कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट एडवांटेज इन चीज. तो व्हाट विल बी द सिचुएशन फॉर वाइन नाउ? यू हैव टू टेक द इनवर्स ऑफ इट. So if you take the inverse of it, it will become 4 by 6 and this will become 1 by 4. अब inequality बदल जाएगी. That means based upon comparative cost advantage still trade is possible. Home country will specialize in cheese and foreign country will specialize in wine because this is now 0.66 and this is 0.25. So where Adam Smith failed, the Ricardian concept helps to explain that. Even if one country has absolute advantage in both line of production, still trade is possible and it is beneficial because trade occurs basically based upon comparative cost advantage. In this you have comparative cost advantage. Just elaborate that advantage further. ऊपर के एग्जाम्पल में क्या बोल रहे जा रहा है? foreign country can produce both the goods in less time. तो फॉरेन कंट्री के पास एब्सोल्यूट एडवांटेज है. नीचे वाले एग्जांपल में किसके पास कंपैरेटिव एडवांटेज आया? होम कंट्री के पास कंपैरेटिव एडवांटेज आया. इसको आप फर्दर क्या इंटरप्रेट करोगे? होम कंट्री के पास तो डिसएडवांटेज था, तो होम कंट्री के पास एब्सोल्यूट डिसएडवांटेज है दोनों लाइन में, बट उसका डिसएडवांटेज कहाँ पे कम है? चीज में. सिमिलरली फॉरेन कंट्री हैज एब्सोल्यूट एडवांटेज इन बोथ, but in which cases absolute advantage is more in wine. So based upon that comparative cost advantage, trade will be beneficial for both the countries. So you have to explain that idea. But अभी थ्योरम अपने आगे प्रोसीड नहीं कर रखा है. यहाँ से इसका एक ऑब्वियस ड्रॉबैक या लिमिटेशन बता दो कि व्हाट इज द बेसिक ड्रॉबैक और लिमिटेशन ऑफ दिस थ्योरी. बिकॉज Here rarely you will get a numerical value to calculate, although one time it has been given, but generally you have to elaborate or explain more. So what is the obvious limitation of this type of concept? Obvious drawback इससे क्या आ रहा है? This argument say that comparative cost depends upon ALC and ALW. What are these numbers basically? ये तो मैंने अपनी तरफ से लिखा है. ये नंबर इनफैक्ट लेबर की प्रोडक्टिविटी को बताता है. ग्रेटर नंबर बताएगा लेस प्रोडक्टिविटी और लेस नंबर विल इंडिकेट हायर प्रोडक्टिविटी. बट व्हाई प्रोडक्टिविटी ऑफ लेबर इज डिफरेंट बिटवीन टू कंट्रीज? नॉट एक्सप्लेन इन द मॉडल. It simply assume that productivity is different. Because productivity is different, therefore cost is different, and because cost is different, we are trading with each other. And the other important drawback is that it is making use of only one factor of production. It is making use of only one factor of production, ignoring the presence of other factor of production. So we'll explain that part of trade, but first introductory part, first paragraph. Comparative cost advantage theory. Comparative cost advantage theory has been formulated by Comparative cost advantage theory has been formulated by Ricardo. This model of international trade is also referred as this model of international trade is also referred as 2 by 2 by 1 model. 2 by 2 by 1 model. Obviously when you write this, just write in this form. बुक वगैरह के अंदर क्या होता है, ये सारे अजम्पशन के अंदर लिस्टिंग होती है, मतलब वो डिटेल अजम्पशन लिखे. वी आर अज्यूमिंग दैट देयर आर टू कंट्रीज. सेकंड अजम्पशन वी आर अज्यूमिंग दैट दे आर प्रोड्यूसिंग टू प्रोडक्ट. वी आर अज्यूमिंग दैट लेबर इज द ओनली फैक्टर ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. तो आप वो डिस्क्रिप्शन ना जा करके इस फॉर्म में एक्सप्लेन कर दोगे, बिकॉज यू हैव टू बेसिकली एक्सप्लेन द आइडिया बिहाइंड दैट थियरी. अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस थियरी, a country has comparative advantage. According to this theory, a country has comparative advantage in producing a good. A country has comparative advantage in producing a good if opportunity cost of producing that good, if opportunity cost of producing that good in terms of other good, is lower in that country, as compared to the other country, underline that. A country has comparative advantage in producing a good if opportunity cost of producing that good in terms of other good is lower in that country compared to the other country. This approach in which International trade is arising. This approach in which international trade is arising due to international difference between this approach in which international trade is arising due to international difference between productivity of labor is known as a Ricardian model of international trade. Is known as Ricardian model of international trade. So ideally any answer based on Ricardian model, you can start with this paragraph. This is the main idea of this Ricardian model. Next paragraph. In this model, production possibility frontier is a straight line. Production possibility frontier is a straight line due to constant opportunity cost. Underline that word, constant opportunity cost. Slope of PPF measures opportunity cost. Slope of PPF measures opportunity cost, that is cost of one good in terms of other good. Cost of one good in terms of other good. And it is measured by a ratio of unit labor requirement. A ratio of unit labor requirement of producing good. A ratio of unit labor requirement is basically this. अपने रेफरेंस के लिए लिख लेना, जैसे ALC by LW क्या हो गया, ये रेशियो ऑफ यूनिट लेबर रिक्वायरमेंट है, एंड दैट मेजर अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट ऑफ चीज. नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ. Even when country may have absolute cost advantage, in producing both good, after comma, country will have comparative cost advantage. In only one line of production. If required, you can use this type of example. If you write only this, it means what? Foreign country has absolute advantage in cheese. If you compare only these two number, you say foreign country has absolute advantage in wine also. So foreign country has absolute advantage in both. but when you make a ratio, then it becomes comparative cost advantage. Next paragraph. PPF only determines what an economy can produce. PPF only determines what an economy can produce. What an economy can produce. For sub to determine what economy will actually produce. To determine what economy will actually produce, we need to know relative price. We need to know relative price. Full stop. In a competitive economy, and with only one factor of production, that is labor. One factor of production, that is labor. After comma, wage rate will be equal to value of marginal product. Wage rate will be equal to value of marginal product. Underline that. Wage rate will be equal to value of marginal product. Remember, we are assuming that market is competitive. Still अभी trade की बात नहीं हो रही है. So if home country has one factor of production which is labor, this labor is free to move between cheese industry and wine. The question is, in which sector labor will be paid more or labor earns more? Because obviously labor की earning यहाँ ज़्यादा होगी, labor वहाँ move कर जाएगा. इतने भी मॉडल आप ट्रेड का यहाँ पढ़ोगे अभी स्टार्ट में. इन दैट वी विल अज्यूम दैट वट एवर बी द फैक्टर ऑफ प्रोडक्शन अवेलेबल, दे आर फ्री टू मूव विद इन अ कंट्री, बट दे कांट मूव बिटवीन द कंट्री. सो लेबर के माइग्रेशन को अलाउ नहीं कर रहे आप. मतलब लेबर कैनॉट मूव फ्रॉम होम कंट्री टू फॉरेन कंट्री, बट लेबर इज फ्री टू मूव विद इन द होम कंट्री. सो what will be the wage in the cheese and what will be the wage in wine? Under perfect competition, wage is equal to value of marginal product. मेरा टर्म पे ध्यान देना. किसी भी चीज़ का वैल्यू कैलकुलेट करने का मतलब होता है उसे प्राइस से मल्टीप्लाई कर देंगे. तो मुझे मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट की वैल्यू निकालनी है, तो मैंने प्राइस को मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट से मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया. ठीक है. ये मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट लेबर का है किस इंडस्ट्री में, तो प्राइस कौन सा लेंगे, ये चीज़ का प्राइस है. सो इट इज प्राइस ऑफ दैट चीज. नाउ व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट? मार्जिनल मीन्स व्हाट? एडिशनल. सो मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट मीन्स एडिशनल प्रोडक्ट ड्यू टू एडिशनल लेबर. सो इन वन लेबर आवर वट एवर विल बी द प्रोड्यूस, दैट विल बी द मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट. तो मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट इज एडिशन टू टोटल प्रोडक्ट ड्यू टू वन मोर यूनिट ऑफ लेबर. अब जरा एग्जांपल में फिट करके बताइएगा इसका मतलब क्या है. आई गेव द एग्जांपल ALC ऑफ 6 आवर. व्हाट डज दैट मीन? ALC 6 आवर था, इसका मतलब एक यूनिट चीज को प्रोड्यूस करने में 6 आवर लग रहा है. और मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट का मतलब क्या है? चेंज इन टोटल प्रोडक्ट ड्यू टू वन मोर यूनिट ऑफ लेबर. तो अगर एक यूनिट को प्रोड्यूस करने में 6 आवर लग रहा है, तो इन 1 आवर हाउ मेनी यूनिट कैन बी प्रोड्यूस? 1/6. 1 आवर में जो प्रोड्यूस होगा वही मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट कहलाएगा. 1 आवर में जो प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है वो मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट कहलाएगा. सो इफ आई से ALC is 6 hour, then marginal product of labor will be 1/6. So in place of that margin product, what you will write? मार्जिन प्रोडक्ट की जगह क्या लिखेंगे? एग्जाम्पल क्लियर है? ALC अगर कह रहा हूँ 6 आवर, इसका मतलब होता है टू प्रोड्यूस 1 यूनिट ऑफ चीज इट टेक 6 आवर. सो इन 6 आवर यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग 1 यूनिट. सो इन 1 आवर यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग 1/6. तो 1/ALC कर दीजिएगा. 1/ALC मल्टीप्लाइड बाय प्राइस ऑफ क्लॉथ, इट इज सिंपली PC/ALC हो गया. तो व्हाट इज वेज इन चीज? PC/ALC. Similarly, what will be wage in wine industry? ये मार्केट भी कॉम्पिटिटिव है. If this market is also competitive, here also wage will be equal to VMP. So price multiplied by margin product. But price of what? Wine. Margin product of labor in wine. It was ALW 4 hour. So in 4 hour you are producing 1 unit. So in 1 hour 1/4. So 1/ALW multiplied by PW. So that value will be PW/ALW. Again it won't be part of your answer. वो तो एक लाइन जो लिखा है वो यूज कर लेना बस. But for your conviction आप रजिस्टर में इसको नोट कर रहे हैं. So when I say PW/ALW, what is that? What is PW/ALW? Wage in wine. And what is PC/PW? Wage in. And worker will work in which industry where he earns more wage. So I am writing various possibilities. If first PC/ALC is greater than PW/ALW, what does that mean? कंडीशन लिया है, पॉसिबिलिटी ली है. अगर PC/ALC ग्रेटर है तो PC/ALC इज वेज इन चीज विच इज मोर देन द वेज इन वाइन. सो ऑल वर्कर विल गो टू प्रोड्यूस चीज एंड इन दैट कंडीशन कंट्री विल बी प्रोड्यूसिंग ओनली चीज. कैन यू राइट द अबव कंडीशन इन एन ऑल्टरनेट फॉर्म? What is PC/PW? Greater than what ये क्रॉस किया है? That will be greater than ALC/ALW. सेम रिलेशन है. अब आप ये इंटरप्रेट करना. What is this number? What is ALC/ALW? ये क्या बोला गया था? What is ALC/ALW? ये अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट सब चीज है. And what is PC/PW? What do you read? What is PC/PW? रेशियो निकाल दिया है. रेशियो मतलब रिलेटिव होगी. तो अगर PC/PW ग्रेटर देन ALC/ALW है देन कंट्री विल प्रोड्यूस ओनली चीज. यहाँ से एक इंपॉर्टेंट प्रिंसिपल आपको याद रखना है. अ कंट्री विल प्रोड्यूस ओनली दैट प्रोडक्ट. अ कंट्री विल प्रोड्यूस ओनली दैट प्रोडक्ट फॉर विच रिलेटिव प्राइस इज ग्रेटर देन अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट. अगर प्रोडक्ट का रिलेटिव प्राइस अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट से ग्रेटर है देन दैट कंट्री विल प्रोड्यूस ओनली दैट प्रोडक्ट. ALC/ALW is opportunity cost. PC/PW is relative price. So if relative price is more and cost is less, then country will produce only that product. प्राइस प्रोडक्ट का ज़्यादा है और उस गुड्स का प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट कम है, then it is beneficial to produce only that product. It will be beneficial to produce only that product only if the relative price is greater than the opportunity cost. But remember ये condition अभी मैंने लगा रखा if. So what could be the other possibility? Just reverse कर लो. PC/ALC less than PW/ALW, which could be written as PC/PW less than ALC/ALW. In that condition what will happen? अब कहाँ पे वेज ज़्यादा हो गया? So in that case country will produce only wine. So what must be the price in the absence of trade? What must be the price without trade? What must be the price without trade? Remember, अगर दो कंट्री ट्रेड कर रहे हैं फिर तो ये पॉसिबल है कि एक कंट्री ने ओनली चीज़ प्रोड्यूस किया, सरप्लस चीज़ एक्सपोर्ट कर दिया और उसके अगेंस्ट वाइन बाई कर लिया, या हमने ओनली वाइन प्रोड्यूस किया, सरप्लस वाइन एक्सपोर्ट किया, इन अगेंस्ट चीज़ बाई कर लिया. दैट कैन हैपन ओनली व्हेन टू कंट्रीज आर ट्रेडिंग विद ईच अदर. बट इफ दे आर नॉट ट्रेडिंग विद ईच अदर, देन अगर वो ट्रेड नहीं कर रहे हैं, देन कंट्री मस्ट प्रोड्यूस बोथ द गुड्स. बट व्हेन कंट्री कैन प्रोड्यूस बोथ द गुड्स? Country can produce both the goods only when labor will go to produce both the goods, and when labor will go to produce both the goods only when wages are equal. So what must be the price ratio in the absence of trade? It can't be greater or less, it must be equal to. तो अब आप ये बताओ, in the absence of trade what is price? ट्रेड के एब्सेंस में प्राइस रेशियो किसके बराबर होता है? अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट के बराबर होता है. ये अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट है, ALC बाय LW. ट्रेड के एब्सेंस में जो प्राइस होगा वो अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट के बराबर होता है. इन द एब्सेंस ऑफ ट्रेड प्राइस विल बी इक्वल टू अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट. और एब्सेंस ऑफ ट्रेड टेक्निकली इट इज कॉल्ड autarky condition. Autarky means country in isolation, no trade. So what are autarky prices? Autarky price means price in the absence of trade. So price in the absence of trade is equal to opportunity cost. Price in the absence of trade will be opportunity cost. Remember, these are the basic part for this international trade. In answer again this type of description will not be there. जो main idea है उसको आप कैरी फॉरवर्ड करोगे आगे वाले टॉपिक. Read up. In the absence of trade, a country must produce both goods. A country must produce both goods on its own. For that purpose, it is required that a relative price of good must be equal to opportunity cost of producing that good. Relative price of that good must be equal to opportunity cost of producing that good. However, in the presence of trade, a country may produce only one product, if relative price of that product, is greater than, opportunity cost of producing that good, For example, if relative price of cheese is more, then opportunity cost of producing cheese. If relative price of cheese is more than opportunity cost of producing cheese, then country will produce only cheese, as it also implies that wages in cheese sector is more than wages in wine sector. Wage. रिलेटिव वर्ड तब आएगा जब आप मिनी कमोडिटी को बोलोगे, ये मॉडल बाद में जब रिलेट होगा। अभी रिलेटिव कौन सा हुआ यहाँ पे भी, ये तो नहीं, प्राइस की बात है। वेज, रिलेटिव वेज कहेंगे तो वेज एक कंट्री का होगा और दूसरा वेज दूसरे कंट्री का होगा, तो रिलेटिव वेज वर्ड यूज होगा। यहाँ तो ये नंबर है बस, ये VMP मतलब इक्वेट क्या, ये एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यू है, नॉमिनल है। ठीक है, एग्जाम्पल के लिए वहाँ लिख दीजिए PC by PW greater than ALC by W, ये एग्जाम्पल क्लियर है। सो व्हेन अ कंट्री विल प्रोड्यूस ओनली चीज if relative price of cheese is greater than opportunity cost of cheese, अगर relative price चीज का opportunity cost से greater होगा then country will produce only cheese। तो ये जो कंडीशन बेसिकली आप यूज करते हैं, रिमेंबर what will be the actual price वो separate issue है, but ये condition basically you have to apply that। So if you say that PC by PW is greater than ALC by ALW, in that case country produces only cheese, in the opposite case it is only wine। Both goods can be produced only when they are equal, so in that case both goods can be produced। Both goods can be produced only in that third possibility। अब आप ये बताओ कि in the absence of trade, means before trade, what are the prices? ट्रेड के एब्सेंस में वो थर्ड कंडीशन होना है, you have to produce both the goods। So before trade what will be the price in home country? Equal to, so PC by PW equal to what? ALC by ALW। In the absence of trade what will be the price in the foreign country? वो भी in foreign country also PC by PW will be equal to what? ALC star by ALW star। But now question is, अगर फॉरेन कंट्री का प्राइस रेशियो इस नंबर के बराबर है, होम कंट्री का प्राइस रेशियो इस नंबर के बराबर है, तो क्या ट्रेड से पहले दोनों कंट्री के प्राइसेस सेम है? नहीं है, दोनों कंट्री के प्राइसेस डिफरेंट होंगे, बिकॉज इन होम कंट्री प्राइस विल बी इक्वल टू दिस वैल्यू ALC/LW, और इन फॉरेन कंट्री प्राइस विल बी इक्वल टू दिस वैल्यू। फिर तो ट्रेड से पहले प्राइस से डिफरेंट है, तो डिफरेंस इन प्राइस इज द मेन रीजन बिहाइंड ट्रेड। अगर ट्रेड से पहले ही प्राइस सेम होता तो ट्रेड की कोई जरूरत है ही नहीं। ट्रेड तो तभी होता है ना जब इंडिया का प्राइस और चाइना का प्राइस डिफरेंट होगा ट्रेड से पहले, एंड ट्रेड विल इक्वलाइज दोज प्राइसेस थ्रू द ट्रेड, इट विल इक्वलाइज। सो इफ आई जस्ट टेक अ कंडीशन, मान लिया मैंने ये कंडीशन है, अब मुझे आप ट्रेड समझाना है यहाँ से क्या होना है। आई अज्यूम्ड अ पर्टिकुलर कंडीशन, आई अज्यूम दैट इन द एब्सेंस ऑफ ट्रेड price of cloth relative to wine or price of cheese relative to wine in home country is less and in foreign country it is more. Who will export what? होम कंट्री में प्राइस कम है चीज़ का और फॉरेन कंट्री में चीज़ का प्राइस ज़्यादा है, तो होम कंट्री से क्या एक्सपोर्ट होगा? होम कंट्री प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ चीज़ will think that if they sell their cheese in the home country they will get lower price, and if they sell it in the foreign country they will get a higher price. So home country will export cheese, home country will export cheese. As home country will export cheese, steps में लेना पहले because वो working पूरे trade के अंदर होती है. As home country will export cheese, supply of that cheese in home country will decrease. Because of that what will be the effect on price? बढ़ेगा। तो जो चीज़ का प्राइस होगा वो ट्रेड के बाद इधर ये इंक्रीज होना है। इफ होम कंट्री इज सेलिंग मोर चीज इन द फॉरेन कंट्री, सप्लाई ऑफ दैट चीज इन फॉरेन कंट्री विल इंक्रीज। एज सप्लाई ऑफ चीज इन फॉरेन कंट्री इंक्रीजेज इट्स प्राइस विल फॉल। एंड हाउ लॉन्ग दिस विल कंटिन्यू? जब तक सेम नहीं हो जाती। तो ट्रेड के बाद का जो प्राइस होगा वो कहाँ पे लाई करेगा? ट्रेड के बाद का जो प्राइस होगा वो इन दोनों के बीच कहीं लाई करना है। सो इन द एब्सेंस ऑफ ट्रेड दिस PC by PW was equal to opportunity cost. In the absence of trade this PC by PW was also equal to opportunity cost, and after trade the value will be lying somewhere in between. तो somewhere in between का मतलब क्या? after trade. Remember after trade whatever be the price, that PC by PW will be greater than what and less than what? ट्रेड के बाद का जो प्राइस होगा वो कौन से दो वैल्यूज के बीच लाई कर जाएगा? ट्रेड से पहले ये नंबर था, ट्रेड से पहले ये नंबर है होम कंट्री में, और ट्रेड से पहले ये नंबर है फॉरेन कंट्री का, और ट्रेड के बाद ये दोनों कन्वर्ज हो रहे हैं। तो कन्वर्ज होंगे तो इसका मतलब हो गया जो एक्चुअल का प्राइस होगा वो हायर देन ALC/W होगा एंड लोअर देन ALC*/W होगा। सो दिस नंबर विल बी हायर देन ALC/LW and it will be lower than ALC*/LW होगा। That means after that trade price will be somewhere in between the opportunity cost. दोनों opportunity cost के बीच कहीं लाई करेगा, और वो डिटरमाइन करेगा कि how much will be the gain for both the countries. So this step is clear. Trade, in the absence of trade what are the prices? Equal to opportunity cost. In the absence of trade ये प्राइस हो गया होम कंट्री का, this is the price in foreign country. But after trade prices can't be different. After trade the price must be same in both the countries. Trade leads to convergence of price. Due to trade prices converge. Due to trade prices converge. So prices will become same in both the countries due to trade. But why trade arises? Remember the purpose of reading this entire international economics is we are going to determine what are the reasons for trade. So what is the reason for trade? You identified one reason here. What is the reason for trade? Difference in price, but why prices are different? Difference in cost. And why costs are different? Because productivity is different. So difference in productivity is one in trade. Labor productivity in India and labor productivity in China is not same. Labor productivity in China and labor productivity in US is not same. So because of difference in the productivity, trade is arising. So the main idea of Ricardian model is that trade is arising due to trade is arising due to difference in productivity. But trade may arise because of other reason also. So for that purpose there will be other theories also. But here we are focusing on this Ricardian model. Right on, next paragraph. If relative price of cheese in home country is less than in foreign country, if relative price of cheese in home country is less than in foreign country, then home country will export cheese. Because it will be profitable. To export cheese. However, this cannot go on indefinitely. Eventually, home country will export enough cheese so that relative price get equalized. After trade, next sentence, after trade, relative price is determined by intersection of relative supply and relative demand. Full stop. Determination of equilibrium relative price. Determines pattern of trade. Determination of equilibrium relative price determines pattern of trade. A country will specialize in that line of production. In which relative price will be greater. Than opportunity cost. Of producing that good. A country will specialize in that line of production in which relative price will be greater than opportunity cost of producing that good. Underline that. A country will specialize in that line of production in which relative price is greater than opportunity cost of producing that good. Opportunity cost of producing that good. So remember, price is always determined by the world trade. Trade से price का determination होगा. So we will have an equilibrium price determined by relative supply and relative demand, मतलब PC by PW. But जो value होगी वो unique value होगी. If that value is turning out to be greater, ये एक single value हो गई, वो constant number हो गया. If this value is greater than this number and less than this number, तो पैटर्न ऑफ ट्रेड क्या हो गया इसका? जो प्राइस आएगा वो इन दोनों के बीच का ही आना है, बिकॉज इन द एब्सेंस ऑफ ट्रेड वो इक्वल थे, ट्रेड के बाद तो इक्वलाइज हो जाएगा. सो इट विल बी समवेयर इन बिटवीन. सो इफ दिस इज द कंडीशन, देन व्हाट इज द पैटर्न ऑफ ट्रेड? हु इज एक्सपोर्टिंग व्हाट? सिंपल है, जो लास्ट सेंटेंस लिखा उसको पढ़ ली दोबारा. अ कंट्री विल स्पेशलाइज इन विच लाइन ऑफ प्रोडक्शन इन विच रिलेटिव प्राइस इज ग्रेटर. तो रिलेटिव प्राइस किस कंट्री में ग्रेटर है? जो PC by PW की वैल्यू इट इज ग्रेटर देन दिस नंबर. सो होम कंट्री स्पेशलाइज इन चीज एंड फॉरेन कंट्री स्पेशलाइज इन वाइन. सो इफ दिस इज द केस, होम कंट्री स्पेशलाइजेस इन चीज home country specializes in cheese and foreign country specializes in wine. So it all depend upon where is that PC by PW. इसकी वैल्यू कहाँ पे डिटरमाइन हो रही है? If it is greater or less. Price determines basically the trade. Difference in cost is the reason behind trade. Below that. Therefore, according to Ricardian model, trade arises, according to Ricardian model, trade arises due to difference in opportunity cost, and opportunity costs are different, due to difference in productivity of labor, underline that. Due to difference in productivity of labor. However, this model fails to explain the reasons behind difference in productivity of workers. ठीक है, वो लॉजिक सब्सिक्वेंट थ्योरीज में आ जाएगा व्हेन यू एक्सप्लेन एचओ मॉडल एंड सो ऑन. तो यहाँ उसका सिर्फ जो लिमिटेशन पार्ट है रिकार्डियन मॉडल का वो एक्सप्लेन किया. Now remember, if this is the condition, then we say that trade arises. मतलब there will be reasons for trade. But who gains how much? Trade तो हो गया, but trade से benefit हो रहा होगा तभी trade हुआ है. How much is the benefit for home country and how much is the benefit for foreign country? It is not that the benefit will be also equally shared. You just said this value lies between these two numbers. You are not quantifying the gap. Gap quantify नहीं कर रहे हो अभी आप कि ये वैल्यू इससे कितना कम है और इससे कितना ज़्यादा है. वो जो गैप होगा वो डिटरमाइन करेगा एक्चुअल में हाउ मच इज द एडवांटेज फ्रॉम ट्रेड फॉर दैट कंट्री. तो स्मॉल part will be just gains from trade. Make a separate heading. Gains from trade. International trade is generally mutually beneficial. International trade is generally mutually beneficial for home country and foreign country both. For home country and foreign country both, due to following reasons. Due to following reasons. First, international trade helps a country. International trade helps a country. International trade helps a country to consume outside PPF. To consume outside PPF. In the absence of trade, production possibilities determine consumption possibilities. But after trade, each country can consume and produce different combination. You have to elaborate this point. You can make use of this example. Remember, if a country is not trading, if home country is not trading, then it can consume only when what that country produces. So if the numbers are ALC and ALW, based upon that you draw the production possibility frontier. Suppose these numbers are 400 and 600. This is quantity of cheese, quantity of wine. Suppose home country was having labor resource of 2400 and this value was 6 and 4. And for foreign country, suppose foreign country also have same amount of labor hour, but the numbers are different. ALC and ALW is different. If this is 4 hour and this is 6 hour here, then for foreign country, what are the possibilities of production? This will be 400 and this number will be 600. Now in this condition, who will specialize in which line of production? If home country is not trading, तो trade अगर नहीं कर रहे हैं तो what you are producing you can consume only that. You can't consume outside it. Foreign country also can consume only this combination, but not outside it. Trade will enable you to consume beyond it. So what will happen in this condition? Who will produce what? ALC by ALW. You have to compare with ALC star by ALW star. So he is producing what? This number is 1.5 and this is, so this number is ये less है. So cheese will be produced by foreign country. तो foreign country के लिए cheese हो जाएगा ये corner, और home country के लिए wine हो जाएगा ये corner. तो home country only cheese this value, foreign country only wine this value. Now if I draw it in a combined form after trade, so if I draw it in a combined form after trade, this is one value, this is the other number, this value here 600, this value here 600. अब ये 600 और 600 का जो पॉइंट आ रहा है, in between there can be many possibility, but which area has been added on? एरिया जो एड ऑन हो गया ये वैल्यू आ गई, ये आपका एडवांटेज होगा ड्यू टू ट्रेड. बट आउट ऑफ दैट एरिया हु विल गेन हाउ मच, दैट इज अ सेपरेट पार्ट. बट दिस इज द एडवांटेज बिकॉज होम कंट्री कैन प्रोड्यूस 600 यूनिट ऑफ वाइन, फॉरेन कंट्री कैन प्रोड्यूस 600 यूनिट ऑफ चीज. In the absence of trade, this was the possibilities of production and consumption for home country and for foreign country. But after trade, you are adding that area. This was basically to elaborate that first point. Below that, point number 2. Second point, gains from trade. Gains from trade arises due to gains from trade arises due to indirect method of production. Indirect method of production. Indirect method of production. Underline that word. Indirect method of production. Home country can produce both goods. Home country can produce both goods on its own. But it specializes. In that line of production. But it specializes in that line of production in which it has comparative cost advantage. In which it has comparative cost advantage. In which it has comparative cost advantage. Remember, technically home country can produce both the commodity, but home country uses this time to produce what? That product in which it has comparative advantage. So what about the other product then? आपने स्पेशलाइज करके वाइन प्रोड्यूस किया या चीज़ प्रोड्यूस किया, तो अगर ओनली वन प्रोडक्ट प्रोड्यूस करें तो हाउ यू आर कंज्यूमिंग द अदर प्रोडक्ट? बाय एक्सपोर्टिंग दैट प्रोडक्ट. तो बाय एक्सपोर्टिंग दैट प्रोडक्ट यू आर गेटिंग द एडिशनल प्रोडक्ट. बट वो दूसरा प्रोडक्ट तो आप खुद भी बना सकते थे, तो खुद क्यों नहीं बनाया? क्योंकि एक्सपोर्ट करने के बाद जो इन एक्सचेंज क्वांटिटी मिल रही है वो ज़्यादा मिल रही होगी। अगर आप डायरेक्टली खुद प्रोड्यूस करोगे तो भी प्रोड्यूस कर सकते थे, बट हमने इनडायरेक्टली क्या किया है, होम कंट्री इज यूजिंग इट्स टाइम टू प्रोड्यूस वाइन, exporting that wine in exchange getting cheese, but the quantity of cheese that home country will get is more as compared to what it could have produced on its own. So how to explain that part? To explain this again you can use this example. Next पे आप कर ले रहे, एक्चुअल में एग्जाम्पल पहले यहाँ समझ लेना. सपोज आई एक्सप्लेन इट फॉर होम कंट्री. होम कंट्री हैज़ 1 labor hour. Remember, labor hour has the opportunity cost. This hour can be used to produce, or this hour can be used to produce wine. How much cheese and how much wine? 1 घंटे में क्या चीज़ प्रोड्यूस होगा? 1/ALC. यही तो मार्जिन प्रोडक्ट था. और वाइन 1/ALW. तो सपोज होम कंट्री स्पेशलाइजेज इन चीज़, उसका कॉस्ट एडवांटेज चीज़ में आ रहा है मान लिया, तो होम कंट्री विल यूज दिस टाइम टू प्रोड्यूस 1 unit ऑफ चीज़. होम कंट्री यूजेज दिस आउट टू प्रोड्यूस 1/ALC unit ऑफ चीज़. व्हेन यू एक्सपोर्ट दैट चीज़ इन एक्सचेंज हाउ मच क्वांटिटी ऑफ वाइन यू विल गेट. खुद बनाते तो ये बनता, ठीक है, मैंने 1 घंटे को यूज़ किया चीज़ बनाने के लिए, तो 1/ALC unit ऑफ चीज़ बनाया, इस क्वांटिटी को एक्सपोर्ट कर दिया है, तो इन एक्सचेंज हाउ मच क्वांटिटी ऑफ वाइन आई विल गेट. डिपेंड करेगा प्राइस पे. प्राइस चीज़ और वाइन का सेम नहीं है. चीज़ और वाइन का प्राइस इक्वल, अगर इक्वल हो तो 1 cheese 1 wine, दैट विल बी द ट्रेड. बट प्राइसेस आर डिफरेंट देन, चीज़ का प्राइस 10 है और वाइन का प्राइस 20 है, तो फॉर 1 cheese यू विल नॉट गेट 1 wine. फॉर 1 cheese यू विल गेट ओनली half of it. So how much quantity of the other good that you will get, that depend upon the price. तो मैं इसे प्राइस से मल्टीप्लाई कर दूंगा PC/PW से. तो अब ये जो पूरी वैल्यू है क्या बता रहा है, in 1 hour you are using 1/ALC unit of cheese, you are exporting that cheese, in exchange you are getting this much quantity of wine. ये एग्जाम्पल आप किसी और तरीके से भी समझ सकते हो. सपोज x का प्राइस मैंने 10 कह दिया, y का प्राइस बता दिया 20, और बजट लाइन का जो स्लोप होता है, स्लोप ऑफ बजट लाइन, तो लाइन का स्लोप हो जाएगा इनफैक्ट PX/PY. ये टेक्निकली ΔY/ΔX होता है, ये PX/PY. तो यहाँ से बताओ व्हाट इज ΔY देन. PX/PY इंटू, हाउ टू इंटरप्रेट दिस नंबर. इसका मतलब है इफ यू गिव अप 1 unit ऑफ x इन एक्शन हाउ मच क्वांटिटी ऑफ y यू कैन गेट. PX/PY टाइम्स, सो ये प्राइसेस आर सेम देन, सेम हो गया तो ये 1 हो जाएगा. 1 हो गया तो फॉर 1x यू विल गेट 1y, बट एज पर दिस नंबर हाफ. So if you give up 1 unit of x in action, how many unit of y you can buy? For that purpose you have to multiply it by price ratio. आपको प्राइस से मल्टीप्लाई करना होगा तो नंबर आएगा, ठीक है. तो हमने प्राइस से क्या कर दिया, उसको मल्टीप्लाई कर दिया. अब आप ये बताओ कि अगर ये वैल्यू बड़ी है तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ. जस्ट लॉजिकली सोच लो, वहाँ प्रूव नहीं करना, कहीं एक्सप्लेन नहीं करना. अगर ये नंबर बड़ा है इसका मतलब क्या हो गया, ये नंबर हो गया जो क्वांटिटी वाइन का मुझे मिला है बाय एक्सपोर्टिंग चीज़, और ये वाइन मैं खुद प्रोड्यूस कर सकता था. तो अगर ये नंबर बड़ा है इसका मतलब ट्रेड करना मेरे लिए बेनिफिशियल है. एंड हाउ मच इज द बेनिफिट, इन दोनों का जो डिफरेंस होगा वो बेनिफिट का एक्सटेंट हो गया. इन दोनों के बीच का जो डिफरेंस होगा दैट विल बी द एक्सटेंट ऑफ बेनिफिट और मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ बेनिफिट. एंड कैन यू राइट द सेम थिंग एज दिस. ऐसे भी ले सकते हैं इस नंबर को, जो सिचुएशन यहाँ लिखा है यू कैन राइट इट इन दिस फॉर्म ऑल्सो, ठीक है. ये PC/PW यहाँ रहने दिया, ALC यहाँ लिख दिया है, बट ये नंबर तो पहले भी लिखा था अभी थोड़ी देर पहले. व्हाट इज दिस, व्हाट इज ALC/LW, And what is this number? So when trade is beneficial, if relative price is greater than the opportunity cost, तभी तो मेरे लिए चीज प्रोड्यूस करना बेनिफिशियल होगा. So indirect, what is indirect method of production here? Indirect method of production is that home country is not using its time to produce both the goods. Home country uses its time to produce only that product in which it has comparative benefit. Here it produces more of that commodity, sold it to the other country, and by selling it to the other country it get in action the product of the other commodity. That is the indirect method of production. So you are basically explaining that part. Continue करना उसमें example में. Briefly explain कर दे रहा हूँ example. Labor has its opportunity cost. Labor has its opportunity cost. So home country, labor has its opportunity cost. So home country uses an hour to produce 1 by ALC unit of cheese. Uses an hour to produce 1 by ALC unit of cheese, and trade it in exchange for wine. Trade it in exchange for wine at price ratio PC by PW. At price ratio PC by PW. Therefore, home country will gain from trade if home country will gain from trade if after if just write this condition, if 1 by ALC into PC by PW greater than 1 by LW. If this condition holds, this below this. Both this and this. It means there are gains from trade. There are gains from trade if relative price differs from opportunity cost. If relative price differs from opportunity cost. If relative price differs from opportunity cost, underline that. Relative price differs from opportunity cost. Remember, in all those examples, when you draw this PPF, slope of that PPF is always opportunity cost, और slope हमेशा हो जाता है मैथमेटिकली परपेंडिकुलर बाय बेस. तो ये 6/4 के नंबर है, और 6/4 जो आएगा वो एक्चुअल में कौन सा नंबर होगा? ALC by ALW होगा. एंड व्हाट इज ALC एंड ALW? यूनिट लेबर रिक्वायरमेंट होता है. एक यूनिट को प्रोड्यूस करने में कितना टाइम लग रहा है. बट समटाइम्स पेपर में वैल्यू अपोजिट भी गिवन होता है. वन आर्गुमेंट इज हाउ मच टाइम इट टेक टू प्रोड्यूस वन यूनिट, एंड द अदर इन 1 hour हाउ मेनी यूनिट यू कैन प्रोड्यूस. तो दोनों केस में आंसर सेम रहेगा या डिफरेंट हो जाएगा? डिफरेंट आ जाएगा आंसर. तो एक एग्जांपल सिर्फ आप ये 29th पढ़ लीजिए. लास्ट क्वेश्चन ऑन दिस पेज. Explain the condition under which complete specialization will be possible for two nations in the case of comparative advantage. Complete means what? You are producing only one good, but a country will produce only one good only if the opportunity costs are different. इंडिया और यूके के लिए सपोज प्रोडक्टिविटी पर यूनिट ऑफ लेबर फॉर टू नेशंस. पहले ये टर्म बता देना. प्रोडक्टिविटी पर यूनिट ऑफ लेबर, इट मीन्स व्हाट? प्रोडक्टिव पर यूनिट ऑफ लेबर, मतलब वन लेबर कैन प्रोड्यूस हाउ मच क्वांटिटी, वो इंफॉर्मेशन दिया गया है. इट इज नॉट हाउ मच टाइम इट विल टेक टू प्रोड्यूस वन यूनिट. एंड द एग्जांपल्स आर वैल्यूज आर दिस. Weight in terms of kg per man hour, that means 1 man hour produces 6 in India and 3 in UK. Cloth in terms of yard per man hour is 4 and 2. Will mutually beneficial trade be possible for two nations? If you ask for any value based question in the entire past, this is the only one जहाँ वो वैल्यू है बट सिंपल है, बट वैल्यू को उसने डिफरेंट वे में दे रखा है. So what will be the production possibility frontier here? मैं वैल्यू लिख दे रहा हूँ, रजिस्टर में नोट कर लेना. India and UK, the values was 6, 3, 4, 2. And this is quantity of wheat per man hour. Cloth ये information दिया हुआ. From that information, if you have to plot production possibility frontier for India and production possibility frontier for UK by marking here wheat and cloth, wheat and cloth, what will be the production possibility frontier? Overall labor resource तो given है नहीं. Suppose both countries have only one labor hour. So in that one labor hour, India can produce either 6 unit of wheat or 4 unit of cloth. So 6 unit of wheat, here 6 and here 4. 4 and 6. So what is slope of line? It is 4 by 6. ध्यान देना ये 6 by 4 नहीं आया, अब अपोजिट आ जाएगा वो. ठीक है, तो and what does slope calculate? Opportunity cost of, so what is opportunity cost of wheat? 4 by 6. And how much it is for UK? Cloth is here 3 and here it is 2. So what is slope of line here? 2/3 here, this was also 2/3. Therefore opportunity cost of wheat is same in both the countries. But if it is same in both the countries, then trade is not beneficial. Trade will be beneficial only if opportunity costs are different. Because if opportunity cost is same, that means price will also be same. So if already the prices are same, there is no advantage from trading. So you must know that concept, but उस concept को यहाँ पे ऐसे अप्लाई करना और डिस्क्रिप्शन के फॉर्म में जो एक्सप्लेन कर रखा है. Usually this model is a 2 by 2 by 1 model. ये आपने एक्सप्लेन कर रखा है. In the case of two product, it is very easy. Because if in one product home country will have advantage, in the other product foreign country must have the advantage, only then trade will occur. But if you generalize it by saying that it is 2 by n by 1, then मतलब कितने प्रोडक्ट ले लिया, अब n प्रोडक्ट ले लिया तो n के वैल्यू लेटर से 10 है, तो out of that 10 how many goods will be produced by home country and how many will be produced by the foreign country? How to determine that number? वो ट्रेड हो जाएगा फॉर मेनी गुड्स. रिकार्डियन मॉडल ही रहेगा, बिकॉज रिकार्डियन मॉडल है, बिकॉज वी स्टिल वी आर अज्यूमिंग ओनली वन फैक्टर, बट वो उसका एप्लीकेशन साइड हो जाएगा, ट्रेड विथ मेनी गुड्स. तो यू विल स्टार्ट दिस ट्रेड विथ मैनी गुड्स टुमारो, ठीक है, यहाँ वाले पार्ट से करेंगे ट्रेड विथ मैनी गुड्स. सो दिस टॉपिक विल कंटिन्यू. आफ्टर डूइंग दिस वी विल मूव टू द नेक्स्ट मॉडल विच इज एचओ मॉडल. ठीक है, तो in this class you have just written the basic part of that Ricardian model and what is the advantages from trade, advantage or gains from trade. ठीक है, चलो क्वेश्चन करते हैं. थैंक यू.